You're listening to When Isabel Met Aviva, a podcast about rom-coms, female-driven screenwriting, and how to break into the entertainment industry. I'm Isabel,
And I'm Aviva.
and this is our second episode.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for the really kind words in response to our first episode. I guess it's kind of been a while since our first episode came out, right?
Yeah, so we've had some tech issues. We are learning how to be podcast stars, so I'm podcast host. So, yeah, that's why there's been a bit of a delay in uploading.
Yeah, but we're ready now. I feel like we're learning something new every time we do this, which is kind of fun. I feel like I'm kind of in a school class again, right?
Yeah, it's totally a learning experience. And yeah, it's just been really fun to launch even the first episode. But yeah, we're ready to like pick up the momentum again and just be a lot more consistent for you guys.
Yeah. I tell you about my I was talking to my parents. They were traveling when we started our podcast, so
Yeah.
I think I had texted them the link and then they finally saw it when they got back, and my dad told me that he loved it. He gave us 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and he told me that he fell asleep while he was listening to it. But that was, in his words, it was a good thing because he said he only listens to podcasts to fall asleep. So
I've done
that
that
made me
lately
feel
too.
successful.
Yeah. It's like a comfort voice for people.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been really cool to just hear people's really nice comments and say that we have podcast chemistry and yeah, I was really touched when we launched that first episode, so I'm really
Yeah.
excited for more.
Did I tell you that my sister watched Puppy Love because you recommended it? And
Yes.
she loved it. She was like, "Oh my gosh, it was so cute." And she texted me when she started it and she was like, "I'm already crying like 5 minutes in."
Right?
I was like,
You
"I
need to
hope
watch
that's a
it,
good
Isabel.
cry."
Watch it like as soon
I
as you
know I
can.
haven't.
So
There's too
cute.
many movies to watch.
I know. And oddly enough, I haven't been watching as much lately, which is very unlike me. I think just because I've been busier, which is like a newer thing for me. Because
Ooh.
long story, just
Yeah.
with like chronic illness and everything, I just wasn't I didn't have the luxury of being busy because I couldn't be busy. So now that I'm feeling a little better and I'm busier, I'm not rewatching all my favorite rom-coms all the time, which is both like sad and also really good for me.
Yeah.
Having that, but I definitely want to prioritize a few films that I've heard good things about.
Prioritize rom-coms in your life.
Yes, I have to. There are
um
definitely a few that I need to see.
Yeah, I just thought of something because I think I've been watching a lot of rom-coms from the 90s, and I think part of that is because that's the vein of the rom-com I've been working on. The Christmas
Yeah.
one is like meant to be in like Nora Ephron style, so that's why I've been watching all these like older rom-com movies. So I wonder, I feel like it becomes hard to like come out of that style when you're in it. Like I can't just like easily switch to watching a new, because if I watch a newer movie after watching all these 90s movies, I'm like, why are these movies look this way, or like the dialogue is so
Mhm.
different. It's like a kind of a very stark contrast. I don't know if you feel
Yeah,
similar
yeah.
when you watch
Yeah. That'd be a
different
cool thing to
types.
discuss in the future too. Like the differences between like the different decades of rom-coms, because of course there
Yeah.
are differences, but a lot of the same tropes too. Um, yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
I was gonna say I love that, like, watching rom-coms is kind of research. Like, I
I
always like,
know.
whenever I'm watching anything that even I kind of judge myself for watching, like Love Is Blind or something, a
Yeah.
reality show, which I love, or like The Bachelor or whatever, I'm like, this is research, and I'm, like, half kidding, but then down the road, I realized that actually some of these shows that I deem, like, guilty pleasures, which I don't really believe in calling things that, uh seeped into my writing. Like it did inspire an idea, or like actually Love Is Blind literally did. I don't want to like share yet what the
Yeah.
idea is, but it literally, like a whole scene from that show literally inspired a rom-com I really do want to write. I haven't had the chance to write it yet, but so everything
Oh, that's
is research.
awesome. It's true though. That's funny you say it because I literally watched The Golden Bachelor last week just because one of the rom-coms I'm working on is about an older guy falling in love at like a different stage in his life. So then I saw the ad for The Golden Bachelor and I was like, "Oh, perfect. I should just watch a few episodes of this
Yeah,
too."
I've been watching that as well. My mom is very into it. I'm a few episodes. I think I'm like an episode or two behind. I definitely saw the first one, and I thought it was really
Yeah.
sweet. I really enjoyed it. I love that whole franchise. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, it was nice to see like a different perspective. I'm really glad they did that because he's older, right? So he knows himself so much more and I definitely noticed that he feels more genuine than, when normally people come on and you can kind of tell that it's like, okay, they're just doing this for the show, but
Yeah.
I felt like it was cute. I was like tearing up when I was watching the story about his wife and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, what's happening? I'm
Good.
watching The
I
Bachelor and I'm
know. I
crying."
know. And I love all the honesty and like the interviews. It's just such a different vibe
Mhm.
because these
It
women are
is,
just
yeah.
so much more, I think, self-assured and just they know themselves better too. And they're just willing to like just be really honest about what they think about the rose ceremony and how just I really enjoy the like authenticity of this season. So I feel so
Yeah.
yeah, I love that that's research for us. And yeah,
It's the
yeah.
best job in the world. Can you imagine when we get paid for this someday? And our
Please, and be like,
research is watching rom-coms and The Bachelor and
please.
Love is
Like I've
Blind.
been so busy. I have to go watch the whole
Yeah. Like,
Love is
sorry, I'm
Blind.
working this
Yeah.
weekend. I have a rom-com marathon.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's goals for sure. Are you able to tell us what you've been working on lately and like how your career is going as a screenwriter? Because we haven't really shared any details about that yet.
Yeah, so I don't know how much I can say cuz it's like still in the works, but I feel like I can say that because in the first episode, right, we talked about my Zac Efron script, and that script I gave to a friend and coworker who gave it to his friend, which I later found out was like more than a friend in the sense that like he was like a big enough of a deal that like it led to a great meeting and conversation that ultimately led to me getting to work with them on a movie. And so I'm really grateful for my friend Hernani who passed that along. Uh and so yeah, so like I don't know, it's kind of funny to me that I like wrote this movie about Zac Efron and then it led to like my first like screenwriting job essentially.
Yeah,
Which I think
that's
just goes to
awesome.
show that like if you write something you love and that you would want to watch, then that's like the best kind of writing. I think that really
Yeah.
gives the most authenticity, right, to your writing style and voice. And that was what my goal was in sitting down to write that script. Was I just wanted to write something that I would watch, that I would go
Mhm.
to the theaters and watch. And I feel like I accomplished that. So in my mind, it's like, I mean, it'd be awesome if Zac Efron ever read it someday and like it became a movie. I think it could be like a really cool, fun movie. But because it like opened the door for me in so many ways, I feel like I kind of already accomplished what I wanted to accomplish with that script. So I'm kind of like I put it aside. Every now and then I think of like a funny little like scene and then I pick it up and write it
Mm,
again. But yeah, so now I'm working on this romantic comedy Christmas movie and
mhm.
I feel like all I can really say is that I think part of why they wanted to work with me was because the script was about like a celebrity using Tinder, right? Like that's the
Yes.
premise of the Zach movie. And so they were like, we have this idea for like a girl who's like using online dating and she starts dating somebody and we just think that based on your script about Zac Efron, you're the right girl to write this movie.
Yeah,
So
I'm so aligned. Yeah.
I was like, that sounds actually like, I mean, that sounds like a movie I would watch. So again, I was like, I could
Yeah,
write that.
and I think that's so it's so good that it felt like it sounded like it was an automatic kind of yes, like you're like, "Oh, that sounds
Hmm.
exciting," because in my limited experiences just breaking in, I have
Hmm.
been pitched a few things where they're like, "How do you feel about writing?" I don't even want to say what it is, but like just something that's so not aligned with what I would usually write, like a totally different
Yeah.
genre. I was once asked to pitch, and it just felt so inauthentic that I was like, I don't know if I'm the right person for this.
Yeah.
But when like I also have received an idea recently that I was able to pitch, and I'm still waiting I don't have news about that yet, but like it felt like such an automatic yes when I heard their idea that just like I came up with all these, when it just naturally feels like an automatic yes. That's so
Yeah.
nice.
That's awesome. I feel very in tune with that too. I think for me, we kind of talked a little bit about right in the first episode about our dreams and our path to being a screenwriter. And so for me, I think it helps. I actually feel very grateful that I am coming into like following this dream at this time in my life, because I think had I tried to do this 10 years ago, I probably would have been a lot more scared, maybe just like, I didn't really know myself at that time. And so now that I really know who I am and I know the kind of stories I want to write, I don't feel like I have to just meet everybody or talk or like work with everybody. I feel very much like I'm here to make my dream come true. I know it's going to take a long
Mhm.
time, but I'm not going to just I don't know, if it doesn't feel right, I can't do it. Like that's just who I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so when I met with these producers, I just felt that in just talking to them, it felt so natural. I felt like we got along really well. We had a lot of things in common. And then I think they were kind of nervous to tell me their idea. They were like, she's going to think we're
Mhm.
crazy. Like, this is such a weird concept. And then I was
Mhm.
like, I mean, if I saw that log line, I'd be like, yes, I'm going to watch this
Yes,
movie.
I would totally watch that too. I think that's really interesting that you're saying that, like, if you approached your career, your writing dreams like 10 years ago, it just wouldn't have felt, the timing wasn't right. And maybe like you've learned who you are as a writer over the years. Cause I remember being so annoyed when I first delved into screenwriting, like at like 20, and I was told like, you're not going to sell your first script. You have to write like 20 scripts. And
Yeah.
I was so green that I was like, no, I'm going to sell my first script. And I think a lot of writers think that, and it happens
Yeah.
for some people, but I do think looking back, that advice has been true for me. Just, even though I still feel like a newbie, like I have had to write so many scripts. And the first one that I wrote, the first ever in high school, I don't count. Like that would just be horrifying to
Yeah.
read. But the first one I wrote, like after studying screenwriting for a bit, I still don't hate, but it hasn't sold. And I think I've gotten to be a stronger writer. So I think that's really interesting. Just that the advice is
Yeah.
kind of ending up being true, ringing true.
Yeah,
Um,
okay. I do want to say one more thing on this topic because
mhm,
I just remembered that um I think the best advice I got when I was in college, actually, this is kind of like a little side story, but
mhm.
I got the opportunity while I was in college to pitch a reality TV show to MTV, and I was so freaking nervous. I like dressed up and I had to like go into this
So
little room
cool.
and sit with these two executives from MTV. They were like, I can't remember why. I think it's just because it was Emerson and they
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
um
yeah.
you had to like pitch your idea through some application thing, and so I got
Yeah.
picked up for it. And anyway, so I met these two producers. I pitched my idea. They didn't end up taking it, but they
Yeah.
did take an idea from another girl who was like a stand-up comedian on my campus, and she like
Mhm.
totally blew up from it. It was really cool to see.
Wow.
But that woman, the woman producer that I pitched, we stayed in touch a little bit through email, and I think I saw her. There was like an event they did on our campus later in that week, and I
Mhm.
remember talking to her, and she pulled me aside and said and kind of gave me a little more feedback as to like why my pitch didn't get chosen, and she was really
Mhm.
nice. And she asked what I was planning to do after college, and I told her I didn't know, and that I was still kind of figuring out like, what was I going to move to LA, like, or what kind of job was
Mhm.
I going to get. And I just remember that she kind of looked at me and she was like, if you don't feel like you're ready to go to LA right now and you're ready to like go like be a screenwriter, she was like, don't do it. Just, go live
Mhm.
your life. Like, go travel, go see the world, like, go work a bunch of different jobs. And then when you're ready, you'll know and come back to LA and you'll have so much to write about. And that ended up being the path that I took in life. And I feel like, kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, that I think I'm really grateful for her saying that to me, because now it's 10 years later and I'm now pursuing screenwriting, but I have so much more to write about and I feel so much more like in tune with who I am that it makes the writing a lot easier and a lot more relatable to other people, right? So um I think it's the difference, right, of like trying to force yourself to write about something that you don't know and then
Yes.
writing about things that you've lived through.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful advice. And Also, my jaw is kind of dropping in my head, not because I also pitched a reality show when I
Oh
was
my
around that age,
gosh.
not to MTV,
We're
but
literally the same person.
what if it's like the same premise? This would be like a Parent Trap
Oh my
moment.
gosh.
Boom.
Yeah, I know. I'm
Mine
like,
was
wait, okay,
about,
tell me
I
yours.
can share. Okay, I'm like scared almost. We're born on October 11th. No, we're not born on October
Yeah,
11th. I'm
I'm
not.
like, wait, what's your
I'm a
birthday?
Taurus. What is your
I'm a
horoscope?
Virgo.
Okay, I don't really know much about like horoscopes,
I
but
don't
that's
really know.
another
Yeah, I don't know
story.
what that means either.
I pitched so like long story short, when I was about 20, I think as well, maybe a little younger.
Yeah, I think
I
that's what it would
pitched
have
a
been.
reality show to a local production, so I had a pitch. It never was made, but I got kind of far. About promposals, so like
Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
like proposals, how you ask people to
Yeah.
dances. And this was like, now I feel like that's kind of standard in high schools and maybe middle schools, like just asking people in elaborate ways to prom or homecoming. But at the time, it was kind of like the beginning of when people were doing really elaborate things as teenagers and like, doing like choreographed dances and kind of just like over the top things. So I had this, yeah, and MTV was kind of like our goal as well. I can't
Yeah.
remember how far we got and why it was shut down. It's been a while, but they did make a sizzle reel, which maybe I have in my emails
Oh my
somewhere.
gosh, please
That's
find
maybe
that.
just a little, for those who don't know that term, just like it's like a little teaser trailer about what kind of show it would be, like just a visual pitch. So even getting that far was really exciting, and I got paid for it, but like we
Cool.
also had to hire an entertainment lawyer. So like in the end, I think I like barely made any money, but it was still really, that was like kind of my first big opportunity a long time ago. But
I'm kind of
anyway,
surprised that isn't a show. That sounds like a great idea for a reality
yeah, I
show.
can't remember. There might have been a similar thing, like a similar show being made around the same time, and that's kind of why it didn't work out. Or
Okay.
I can't remember why it didn't work out, but we tried for a while to make it happen, and I would have just, I guess, gotten like creator credit. I don't think I would have gotten
Okay.
anything beyond that, but yeah. Well, yours isn't the same topic, right? The same,
No, but
the
first
same reality
question
show.
before I tell
Yeah,
you mine is, did
yeah.
you have a promposal? Did that
Oh,
happen to
okay.
you?
Okay. Yeah, okay. So for prom, actually asked a guy because I went to a
Ooh,
really
oh my gosh,
small
ahead of your
school.
time.
Yeah, I was ahead of my time.
That's so Cat
Which
Strafford of you.
Yeah, right. No, so I just didn't like anyone at my school, like romantically at all. And actually, I ended up going with a friend as well. Long story short, yeah, I didn't want really anyone to ask me to prom, so I decided to ask like my good guy friend, and I asked him with a pizza. So like it wasn't like
Oh.
that elaborate, but I just like put prom and like olives or something and like
Oh,
gave
I
it
was
to
gonna
him.
say, yeah, we're like those like tiny little pepperonis spelled out
Yeah,
prom.
yeah.
But
And
olives
then
is cute too.
for other dances, a guy did ask me like playing saxophone in front of everyone. It's like little,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh, that sounds like a
yeah.
rom-com moment.
Yeah. What about you? Did you have a promposal?
Okay, I have two. One was cute and good. It was my boyfriend at the time. I think it was like after swim practice, and he put like a little balloon on my car, and then it said like "pop me," and then I popped it, and then it had a little like piece of paper inside that said prom on it. And then I like turned around, and my entire swim team was standing there, just like laughing at me. But my awkward one was a friend, a guy friend. He was kind of a guy friend. We used to hang out at this like lake in my hometown, and we'd go there at night and like just like sit on the dock. And there was, the reason we went to this is because it was a little dock in a lake, and across from the lake was a green light that would like flicker, so it felt like in The Great Gatsby, right?
Wow,
So that's,
yes,
so
yeah,
we
yeah.
would just, I think we were in the same English class. I can't remember why.
Mhm.
Like, this is someone I like grew up with, but I was never really good friends with. But we were just like kind of hanging out, like, I don't know, just friends.
Yeah.
And we were just sitting on this dock talking, and then it was getting kind of late, so I started to walk back. And then he was like, for some reason, I think he like took me down this like side little like beach strip area, and we started walking. And then all of a sudden, he clapped his hands and like a row of lights just like lit up on the sand, and there was like this archway with all these lights. Like, it was so romantic.
This is
But
very elaborate.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was very elaborate, very romantic, but I was not into him at all. Like, I was in
No,
awkward, like, what's happening right now moment.
no, that's the
and then he like got down on his knee and like asked me to prom.
It's like marriage.
I know,
Okay.
it was like really cute, and I mean, like, props to him for like being so brave and out there, but
Yeah.
I had to say yes. I just like felt like I
Yeah.
can't say no, like that'd be so mean. And so I said yes, and we like went to the dance together. But I just remember in that moment I was like, oh, like what
I
do I
know.
do?
And he did he think that meant that you had feelings for him, right? Like was he
Yeah,
thinking
it
that
was
the whole time?
definitely like I felt like then I kind of had to pull back. I don't know if he was like really into me or what, but I went
Yeah.
I was kind of was just like, okay, I'll be nice. Like I was definitely that girl in high school that was like, I'll just be nice. I'm
Me
nice to everybody.
too.
I'm not gonna like embarrass him. I'm just
We're
embarrassing
twins
him
then.
now, 15 years later on my podcast, but I won't say his
No,
name.
but props to him for the effort
I
and,
know, yeah.
trying
I mean, it was a
keep to
sweet
go.
memory.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, this could be a whole other episode of just
Yeah,
like coming
right.
of age rom-com moments. But yeah, I
Yeah.
also have the tendency to be too nice, and especially as a teenager, like not just voice how I actually felt about someone, and I would kind of like
Oh
lead them
yeah.
on a little because I just didn't want to like hurt them. And
Yeah.
I'm still working on this in myself, even as an adult, but just like
Yeah.
I was
I
put
feel
in
that.
some situations where I think me saying yes to go to a dance with a guy or like go out with a guy, like obviously gave him the impression that I was interested when I was just like, oh, we can go as friends. And like, anyway, it's a
Yeah.
whole other thing. But
Yeah.
before we get too out of hand, first of all, tell me what your reality show was about, and then
Oh, right. Okay.
we
And
can
then we'll go
talk more
back.
about what we've been working on.
Yeah. So my reality show was so at the time in college I did a business minor, so I was in like an accelerator program, and
Hmm.
in that you had to start a business. So I started a nonprofit, and it was like a
Hmm.
charity. We put on music shows. So it was like benefit concerts for a cause. It was called Hold on Another Day, and it was inspired by a Jonas Brothers song. And so it was specifically about people who like were suffering depression or who
Oh
had
wow.
tried to commit suicide, and it was
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
meant to be music as a form of therapy. So we would make like this is obsolete now, but like we would make mix CDs and mixtapes for people, and then like you would like exchange them, like kind of like pen pals, but like you were
Hmm.
sending like songs that inspired you or like helped you
Hmm.
through like your rough
Oh,
time.
that's sweet. Yeah.
So that was kind of what the show premise was it was more about us putting on the music show. So I wanted it to be like kind of a docu-series style thing where like
Hmm.
we would work with local organizations or charities in the Boston area, and then we put on a concert, and we used all local musicians, and like
Hmm.
people during the concert would like tell their story about like somebody in their life who had committed suicide or how they had survived or
Yeah.
so it was kind of like I think it was like a little too dark and heavy for MTV, so they were kind of just
Yeah.
like, this is cute, but like how are we gonna make this a reality show? But yeah, so obviously that didn't become a show, but
Yeah. But that's really
um
cool that you got so far. And yeah, that's just
yeah.
really funny that we both have that parallel at like the same time of thinking
Yeah.
of a reality show. Cause that was never my dream or anything, but it just somehow I was like, this should be a reality show because I was just really inspired by all the proposals and everything.
Yeah. It's just a cool
Yeah.
experience
So
to go through the like pitching process too, you know?
yeah, I guess that was like my first pitch experience,
Yeah, same.
which I kind of forget about sometimes because it wasn't screenwriting or fiction or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like Isabel, like I've also been on a similar track timeline wise, and um, I also have been working with a few producers on a project as well,
So
which is this
exciting.
is like yeah, this is my first like foot in the door moment. Really, I mean there were some in the past, but like this is my first like screenwriting foot in the door moment.
Can you tell us
So
how you got like
yeah,
how
yeah,
you
I
met
think
them?
I think I can. It was through Twitter. So like basically we're
Look
just
at that.
promoting Twitter in every episode. I don't know how much I'm allowed to share, but basically yes, I was approached through Twitter, and I was only approached because I was just tweeting about things that I loved, and I was tweeting about rom-coms, which is what I love. And then like Dream Producer found me through a tweet about me talking about Hanukkah rom-coms and how there needed to be more of that. So I don't want to share too much. Like I'm not going to share the premise or anything like that. I don't know what I'm allowed to share, but I am allowed to share that I did sign a shopping agreement, which was my first one ever.
Yay, that's so
And a lot of
exciting.
people, so I did announce that a little kind of recently.
Yeah,
And
you posted on Twitter.
yeah, and just for those of you who don't even know what a shopping agreement is, because some people are like, "What is that?" But, like, congratulations. You should
Yeah.
Google for a better
I don't
definition,
think I
but
know what a
basically
shopping agreement is.
yeah, I had to Google as well because there's
Okay.
kind of a whole episode with, like, an entertainment lawyer about all the lingo.
Yeah.
But basically it means I developed an idea with them from scratch, and once we have a script that is ready and polished and we're actually really close to that, they're gonna shop it around in hopes of selling it.
Oh,
So
awesome.
basically there's some more like hoops to jump through. It's not like there's a guarantee that it's going to be made at this point, but still getting this far is really exciting. And we came up with a really good script. So like no matter what, I will have that script, but I really hope it sells,
Yeah.
obviously. And I think in a couple of weeks, like I recently got notes on the first draft, and then in probably the next month or so, I think our goal is to finally have a final draft, and then they can shop it around.
Oh
So
my
fingers
gosh,
crossed.
that's
Yeah,
awesome. I'm
yeah.
so
So I feel like
inspired
once
by
again
you.
we're thank you. Thank you. Um, so that was a really great experience, and yeah, maybe we could have another episode, especially when we're allowed to share more about
Yeah.
the process of writing for producers because I was really nervous. I'd never written um anything for anyone else, and I was worried that I couldn't deliver, or just
Yeah.
because not every script I write I love in the same way. So I just didn't know, but thankfully it's worked out. And yeah, we can talk more about this later, but just getting notes along the way has actually been so dreamy and helpful.
Yeah.
And I would love that for every project I do. It's so much like it slows down the process. I'd say that's the only con because sometimes you just really want to like write something, as we've talked
Yeah.
about. But besides the, slowing down, which is necessary to do all the steps and write so many outline drafts and everything, like it's just been so helpful because I didn't start actually writing the script until we really had a really solid structure, and I really knew my characters more than I
Yeah.
probably ever have in the past. So yeah, we'll keep you guys updated about that. But yeah, we both have really cool, exciting
Yeah. It's a really exciting
opportunities right
time. I
now.
feel like it's just a great starting place to be, right? Like who knows
Yeah,
what will happen,
yeah.
but I feel
Hopefully.
really excited, and I feel like I've learned so much too just working with
Mhm.
producers or people who have, been in the industry for a long time, and getting that really good feedback from them has definitely improved my writing. And I feel going through the whole outlining process helped me become a better outliner. And that's something I never used to do with my scripts. I never wrote outlines, and now yeah, I wrote an outline for the time loop movie that I told you I was working on,
Yes.
right? And that outline ended up being 20 pages, and I finished it, and then I read it the other day, and I was like, I think I could sit down and just start writing this. And I started writing it yesterday actually, and I'm 15
Yay.
pages in already. So I'm gonna just
I
keep
love that
going and
part of
see,
writing.
right? I know.
Mhm.
It's
That's the
just like
most fun part.
yeah. When you just sit
But
down and then 3 hours go by and suddenly you are in act 2.
drug, it's so good. Yeah, but I hate all like I've tweeted about this, and I mean, outlining is so necessary, and like
Yeah.
the farther along I get in screenwriting, I'm like, "Oh my God, it's so necessary. I cannot be a pantser," as they call it.
Yeah.
That might be helpful for like brainstorming, seeing what you want to write, like, kind of writing like I've written a short before, like kind of just on the spot, and that felt really good. And I feel like, but for a feature, think it's really necessary to be as
I
detailed
think
as
so too.
possible and really figure it out
Yeah.
beforehand, even though it can be tedious. But we can have a whole episode about like writing processes
Yeah,
and
writing process.
everything. What are your dreams? Like if you could have anything happen, can manifest anything as being a writer and a filmmaker, like what would it be? What would you want to write? Where would you want to be?
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like when I was younger, I feel like young Isabel would be like, I want to win an Oscar, like I want to win an Emmy, like I like that's my career goal, right? Is to like be an
Mhm.
Academy Award winning screenwriter for like best original screenplay. And I mean that would be great. Like that's definitely like top tier goal, but I think now at this point in my life, I just keep thinking that I will be happy and content if I just get to sit in a movie theater and watch a movie I wrote. I just think that would be the coolest feeling in the world. And like I get chills when I think about it. And especially if I get to have my friends and family all be there. I think like whatever my first movie ends up being, I have this little dream goal that I'd want to, like, I don't know, rent out the like theater in my hometown and like do a showing, and like invite all my friends and family and go see it. Especially I think I'd want to do that in my hometown to have like my teachers and people
Oh,
come
that's
and see it. Like,
beautiful.
I don't know, I feel like
Yeah.
it's like now that I'm, in my 30s and I'm here and everything I've gone through in life, I feel like I look back on it and I'm just like, I always wanted to be a screenwriter. Like, I think everyone I grew up with, I think, who knows me really well knows that like this is what I always wanted to do. And so I think just getting that first movie made and being able to see it and see my name like come on in the credits, like I think I'll just cry. I don't think I'll be able to leave the movie theater. Like, even if it's just like, I don't know, like whatever movie it ends up being, but I think anything that I got to work on where it gave me a full, first writing credit, I just think that would be
Oh,
so
that's so
cool.
beautiful. I have a similar daydream as well, similar fantasy. Yeah, that's so nice. Yeah, so you want to be a paid screenwriter? Would you want to produce? Would you want to, I mean, an Oscar would be fabulous as well.
I think I do want to direct. I was thinking about this the other
Yeah,
day that I think a dream of mine, like Nora Ephron is definitely my idol when it comes to writers. I love
yes.
her whole style. I relate to her so much in that I think she was a journalist or
Hmm.
she was a writer, like a
Yeah, she was
news
definitely
writer
a
or something,
journalist.
right? I think she was a journalist before she started writing movies. And I think I love that she wrote Sleepless in Seattle, sure You've Got Mail, but then she also has a lot of smaller movies that are Heartburn is very much about her
Hmm.
life and her divorce with her husband. And I love that she has these smaller projects that aren't, as well known or famous, but they're her, you know, authentic movies and stories she wanted to tell that she wrote and directed. So I definitely have that goal of I would love to be a writer director someday. I have no
Hmm.
idea how you direct a movie. I don't know anything about it, but
Yeah, you
my
can do it.
mind definitely thinks that way when I'm writing sometimes where I imagine certain songs, I imagine certain things that the characters are doing and I think that's directing, right? Is like when you kind of look at the movie as a whole to see um I guess all the like added details that aren't necessarily
Yeah,
in the script
yeah.
or um, so yeah,
And that
so I
makes
think
so
that
much
would be my
sense.
ultimate goal.
That makes so much sense, like, to be a director of what you wrote, like, that it just
Mhm.
I mean, that just makes so much more sense, just you understand you created everything from the beginning.
Yeah.
So, I used to never be interested in directing, but now the more I think about it lately, I'm like, "Why not?" I mean, probably not
Yeah.
anytime soon at all, but, um, yeah, for me, like, similar to what you're saying, like, yeah, I wanna see my name in the credits as the writer. Um, I wanna get my material made, and I wanna be able to support myself through screenwriting and
Yeah.
maybe other creative projects, like podcasting or other things like that. Like I love the idea of doing screenwriting is my main thing if I could like manifest anything I wanted, but then also doing other creative projects like in addition that kind of are about that or just in line with that. I think would be really really cool. Um, just I love the
Yeah.
idea to just not have a traditional 9 to 5 if I could manifest that
Oh
and
my
just to be
gosh.
able to
Yeah.
like write from anywhere and travel and just not be tied down to a certain location necessarily because of your job.
Yeah.
That'd be
Tell
so
me about
cool
it.
and to
That's my dream
yeah
too. To not have to have a
yeah.
job, especially like a not like I do like my job and I love working with
Mhm.
farmers and the farmers markets and I do love like that's definitely one of my passions. I
Yeah.
think if I could tie that into movies or documentaries in some way, right? Like if I could do some side documentaries about sustainability or just kind of
Yes, we're
tell
the same
farmer
person
stories.
again.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think there's definitely like that's a side goal to all of this too. But I think for me, part of that comes into like storytelling. Like I want to uplift those voices a little bit, maybe add some, it's kind of weird. I feel like I don't know too many movies that have the farmer perspective or like, or even set at the farmers
Mm.
markets. And,
Ooh, I'm gonna think
like I
about
think,
what movies I know about that.
yeah, yeah. So there is definitely that part of me that wants to stay in that world in some way too and tell those
Yeah.
stories. But um Yeah, I'm so tired of having like a regular 9 to 5 job. I really,
Mhm.
that's definitely a huge goal of mine, is to be able to sustain myself off of my creativity, my
It's
creative
so cool.
arts,
Yeah,
and
I
then
love
it doesn't
it.
feel
Really
like work.
cool. Yeah, I mean, for me, without getting into it too much, like, I've been severely debilitated by chronic Lyme disease and a bunch of other things my whole adult life. So I
Gosh.
haven't had the like luxury, I don't know if that's the right word, but yeah, I mean, I just haven't been able to have a traditional 9 to 5 because I haven't felt well enough.
Mm.
So I think that's also a whole topic to discuss, is that a lot of screenwriters are disabled and not able to pursue things in the same way and, network in the same way. And that's what was really cool about how it's a lot more accessible now to like pitch virtually and get these
Yeah.
opportunities virtually. This is a whole nother topic. But yeah, that's my background, is I really want to financially support myself, especially through screenwriting, but I
Yeah.
also haven't had the health to work really many other jobs. So I think that's also why writing would be so perfect for me as well. Just I love it, but also that I think ideally I could still heal and just not be stressed out to the same level as someone who has to do the traditional job, I mean, I would be
Hmm.
thrilled to have the health to do any job, to even like work at Starbucks, but like, not that there's nothing wrong with, just like
Yeah.
I could be happy in a variety of circumstances, and still writing and pursuing this dream. Um, Basically, yeah, writing would be also a great thing for me because I think you're kind of your own. I mean, you're working with other bosses, but you're kind of also controlling where your career is going in a different way
Yeah.
versus having a corporate job or something. Um, so there's a lot more creativity to it, ideally.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, so let's manifest all that for us.
Yeah.
Writing, being a producer writer is number one goal. Oscar would be great, but I'm also not devastated if that doesn't happen.
Yeah,
But it
I
is on
know.
my like
Yeah.
dreams list, of course. But I also think
I have to change
it's
my
harder to get an
position.
Oscar if you're a rom-com writer or a comedy writer.
We can change that.
Yeah, we're gonna change it. Didn't my Big Fat
Never
Greek
say
wedding?
never, in the words of
Yeah, my big
Justin Bieber.
shout out to Justin Bieber. My Big Fat Greek Wedding was nominated at least for Best Original Screenplay, and that's one of my favorite rom-coms of all time. So it's definitely
Sleepless in
possible.
Seattle was too, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
So
so. And that's so there's hope for
there's
us. We can
hope.
get
Yeah.
at the same time, like, yeah, I think I don't know, a lot of the rom-coms I love obviously are not like Oscar worthy, but they're so important. I mean, who deems Oscar, what is it Oscar worthy? But they're not
Yeah.
like deep, meaningful scripts in the same way that like a lot of the dramas that it's just a different kind of energy, but I still think that those are like equally important and still make us like cinephiles and
Yeah.
film lovers and screenwriters.
So let's talk about this BuzzFeed article that I sent to you. It's titled 18 Rom-Com Lines So Ridiculous I Can't Believe They Were Ever Spoken Aloud. And I opened this the other day and I was
Yeah,
already
I have
angry
it on
that
my
I had to
phone as
send it to
well.
Viva. Because
We're
the first,
angry.
I know, I'm like, the first,
Rom-com rage.
yeah, hashtag rom-com rage.
Sounds like a
Um,
movie title or something. Okay.
yeah, this, I'm like, is this kid a Gen Z kid or something? We're gonna have to talk to him because the first line that he says is a ridiculous rom-com quote or line in a movie is
Hmm.
from 10 Things I Hate About You, when when she reads her poem to the class, and Pat, he Ledger, right, is sitting in the class, and she starts crying and she says, but mostly I hate the way I don't hate you, not
Hmm.
even close, not even a little bit, not even at all. How is that a bad line? That is a great line. I almost teared up just reading
I
it.
love it. And I honestly have I have this scene framed on my wall in my old bedroom.
Oh my gosh,
I
awesome.
bought it on Etsy. It's probably, I think it's not available for sale anymore because I think there's probably like a copyright issue with these people like profiting off script pages,
Yeah.
like for art. But so apologies to Kiwi Smith and Carrie McCullough. Like you guys should be compensated. But I do have
There's a poster on your wall.
I do have the poster of the scene on my wall. And it's iconic. It's amazing. It's everything. So I mean, I do think it's important. Like, I mean, I don't know this author, but like he might not be a fan of rom-coms in
I don't
general,
think
you know?
he knows what love is or has ever been in love, because he also put on this list the quote from When Harry Met Sally, which is another one of
Yeah.
my favorite quotes, when Harry realizes that he wants to be with Sally, and it's like New Year's Eve or whatever night it is
Mm-hmm.
in December, and he's like running on the street, and then he finds her and he says, I came here tonight because when you realize you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible. And then the writer of this BuzzFeed article said, this one doesn't really sound right when you think about it. What?
That's like one of the most iconic scenes
I
of any
know.
rom-com, and it's beautiful. And I would say I wouldn't change. I don't think I'd change any dialogue in When Harry Met Sally.
I wouldn't
It's
either. I mean,
perfect.
that's my whole favorite part of that movie is all the
Yeah, I mean,
dialogue.
just the name of our podcast, you know.
Yeah, I know. I'm
Oh,
so
no,
offended by this. I'm like, it's my
well,
dream to
yeah.
run through the streets to somebody and say, I just want my life with you to start now. Like,
Oh
this
my
guy.
gosh, we could just have a whole episode about When Harry Met Sally and Rockford. But
Yeah, we
anyway,
need to.
okay, number 14, I want to talk about A Cinderella Story,
Another
which is one of
classic
my
rom com.
She's honestly so good. Fun fact, I was able to connect with like I think a producer of that one a while ago. Like I pitched her something. But anyway, your website, and I was like, oh my gosh, as soon as I see that associated with someone, I want to talk to them. Okay, so the quote is, waiting for you is like waiting for rain in this drought, useless and disappointing. And this is one of my favorite scenes in the whole film.
I know, I was gonna say, I
The
love
whole
that.
zeitgeist of this genre. It's fantastic. Hilary Duff delivers it perfectly.
I was just gonna say her delivery of that, I can like see it and hear it in my head.
I've seen an interview with her where she had to like remember certain iconic lines or something, and she was able, I think, to recall this. Because I shout out to Hilary Duff. We would love to have you on the show.
Oh my gosh, I would love to
so
have
much.
Hilary Duff on this podcast.
Please, let's reach out to her. So yeah, such a great scene. One of my favorite kissing scenes, I think, in any rom-com is like when it starts to rain at the football game, and then it's a song "Hear You Me." Is that how you say it? It's like a weird name.
Oh, I can't remember.
It's like an iconic. The song that plays, I think it's "Hear You Me," but I might be wrong about what that is. So cute.
Yeah.
When they kiss, and he's like, "No, Dad, it's your dream," and which is like an iconic trope in the rom-com genre.
Right.
And like,
especially for Chad Michael Murray.
Yeah,
I feel like that's his.
This is your dream. My dream is to be his dream is to be a writer too, I think.
Oh yeah, I think it was.
He's like, I don't want to be a hot football player. I want to be a writer.
Yeah.
And anyway, that scene's great. Love
Speaking
that speech.
Of kissing scenes, because number 11 on this list is in Bridget Jones' Diary, and it's the line of, nice boys don't kiss like that. Oh yes, they fucking do. And then he kisses her. Like, how is that a bad line? Like, I don't think this guy has seen these movies. I think he just like Googled quotes.
We're not like bullying you. We just like don't agree with your.
I mean, I feel like he's bullying us with this list.
He's bullying the genre and the best films of all time. Fun. I mean, I kind of have a hot take about. I don't love Bridget Jones, and I know this is controversial. I don't love it. I've tried to love it. I don't hate it. Every time I rewatch it, I think I'll like it more, and then I think just some of the messaging in it is so distracting to me because she's like talking about how she's so fat the whole time, and
that's
I'm like,
true.
what are you talking about? You're
that
gorgeous.
Part does bother me.
There's a lot of like fat phobia in it, and I don't know, but a good cast, and it's like. It seems like it's something I would like. I just don't really rewatch it very often on purpose.
Yeah. I did rewatch it recently, and I do still think there's a lot of like funny moments in it, and I love just her character, and you know, she's this like imperfect woman in her 30s. But I do remember watching it back recently and thinking there is a lot of fat phobia and fat shaming in this, and
her
it's
weighing herself all the time.
Yeah, and she weighs like 130 pounds, and she's like, "Oh my god, I'm so fat."
But I really think, I mean, and that's not even why I don't like. I can even overlook that, but they're just, I don't know. Just every time I watch it, it's just not something I love that much. But I do think when I was growing up watching things like that, it really did seep in, and I think I really was influenced by like thinking I was fat and thinking I needed to weigh myself every day, and so it's just weird looking back. I know I've read like articles about just like during that whole time, there's just a bunch of films I think that talk about women's bodies that way, and it definitely negatively impacted me. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But
I think
um,
rewatching it, the biggest thing that I took away from it was like, I can't believe I used to think Hugh Grant was like really hot. Like he was like a sexy, like he was like, hot
not hot in
bachelor.
Bridget Jones. Yeah,
I just don't find him attractive at all anymore. Like
even at
even
that age.
at that age in
Yeah.
Notting
Oh
Hill, in
wow.
Love Actually, like I
Okay,
was
we're not twins in this
uh
area.
I used to,
He's
but I
so
used
handsome.
to. I used to
Yeah,
be so attracted to him, but now when I watch it, I'm just like, he looks so old all the time. Like
that's interesting. I
he's
think
not
he's
my
great.
type
He's
at
one of my
all.
favorite rom-com leads, which is another episode. I keep saying that. Okay, so speaking of Hugh Grant, um, number 10, I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy asking him to love her in Notting Hill. Iconic.
What are his reasons for these not like being good lines? I don't understand.
It was just like a bad day, or they were like
Yeah.
come up with like a subversive article and he just did it.
Yeah, I
Um,
think so.
Notting Hill is one of my favorite rom-coms of all time. Hugh Grant's character is one of my favorite male lead like rom-com characters ever. Um, and this scene, I mean, don't you have like a little play on this in your Twitter bio? I think you
Oh
do. You're
yeah,
like,
my Twitter bio.
yeah,
That's true. I know.
your Twitter
I
bio.
forgot about
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah.
my Twitter bio is I'm just a girl standing in front of the world asking you all to read my screenplay.
I love that so much. So clearly it is part of the rom-com zeitgeist. It is beautiful. And I
Oh,
love
the
that.
other one I love. Sorry, I'm
Mhm.
scrolling through
Oh,
this.
no,
I
no,
just
no, it's
got to
okay.
it. This is one of my favorite little parts in Love Actually is the
Yes, love
um
actually.
is the part
Which
where
number is
the
this?
this
Oh,
is
number
number
four.
5.
Okay.
The girl in the office and she's like dressed as the little devil. They're at their office
Oh, she's a
party.
mean character.
Yeah, and she's like, yeah, like she's definitely
Antagonist.
trying to get him to like sleep with her, right? And he goes and
Yeah.
buys her necklace, and then
Mhm.
she says, "I'll just be hanging around the mistletoe, hoping to be kissed."
Like his
Just
commentary. I thought you were just gonna try the guacamole.
yeah,
We'll include this article in the show notes
yeah,
if you
yeah.
want
So
to.
people can read it and tell us what they think.
Oh, I have a question about Love Actually. A little side
Mhm.
tangent, but like, who is your favorite couple in Love Actually? Because there's so many different storylines.
Oh
I'm curious if
gosh,
we're the same or not, because I have an
oh my
answer.
gosh, no, that's so hard because um I really love the little boy and the girl and like
It's
how him and the
adorable.
dad, are like trying to
Best
like
musical scene in a rom com as
yeah.
well, I think.
Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think that's one of my favorites. Um I used to always think that it was Colin Firth and the oh my gosh, I forget what
Aurelia? I don't know how
Aurelia,
to say her
yeah.
name.
I used to think that, but
Mhm.
then watching it later, I'm kind of like, it's like a little weird that like she's like
Yeah.
cleaning his house and she can't speak any English and he just like falls in love with
Yeah,
her.
yeah, yeah. So you would
um,
say the little boy,
I
maybe.
think
Oh,
the
that
little
that
boy
storyline.
and Liam Neeson, right, is the father,
Yes, and
and
he's
that
great. I think he's great in that.
that just like
I
warms my
agree.
heart.
That's my favorite. Actually, and we're twins again. I know you said you kind of changed your mind, but Aurelia, I might be saying her name wrong, but Colin Firth's
Yeah,
storyline in that with the Portuguese woman is probably my favorite. That's the one that comes to. I like quite a few of the storylines, but I am like so into languages, and I find that
yeah,
so attractive and cute when people like learn languages for someone else. I think that's like the biggest gesture of love ever. So like when he
yeah.
starts going to the
Oh,
classes
I know,
and
I love
and
that.
like before this was like kind of like a little tech or like a little this made a while ago. It's just like I love when he's like I think he's wearing headphones or something and he's like saying funny phrases out loud in
Yeah,
like public places. I think that's incredibly charming. When he does confess his love and then we realize that they've both learned the other language.
yeah, I love that, and they're like talking to each other in the other
Yes.
languages.
It's so
It's
sweet
so
and it's
sweet.
yeah, I think that's looking back as well like there's there comedic moments I would change. I think there was some like weird fat phobia again in that
Yeah,
scene with like
with the
making
Hugh
fun of the
Grant
teacher.
and the secretary
Oh,
girl. Yeah,
this goes in line with the Bridget Jones kind of through line of just believing that these gorgeous, healthy women are really overweight
yeah.
is super bizarre in these films. But anyway, so yeah, we could talk about Christmas movies another time as well. But are there any other quotes that we want to highlight here that we really love? Oh, number 4.
What's number 4?
Okay,
I'm
this is
scared.
this is from hit.
Oh
Any
my
man,
gosh.
anytime has the chance to sweep a woman off her feet. He just needs the right broom. I think it's a really cute line. This has to be a partial joke,
Yeah, I
right?
feel like this is clickbait.
This is
Are we
clickbait. Are
victims
we
of
getting a
clickbait right now?
rom-com rage?
Yeah, because he made us make a whole podcast episode about it.
He
So
did.
props to him for
I don't
his.
believe that this guy really believes.
I don't think he actually has seen these movies, is my theory.
Okay, number 2, I agree, is a bit cringy. I will share it. So, The Kissing Booth 2. I'm
I've
going to
never
treat you
seen
like
that.
my own personal jungle gym.
Okay,
I
that's
would have
weird.
to read. Okay, I will say I actually really love The Kissing Booth. At least the first one is one of my favorites. Like, I really, not my favorites of all time, but I actually really enjoy that trilogy a lot. I think it's kind of
I think this
underhyped.
is with Joey King,
Yes,
right?
Joey
Yeah,
King and Jacob.
Jacob
Yeah,
Elordi.
he's really handsome. I think he's really fun. I would love him to be in a rom-com of mine. Please, let's manifest that. He's really tall. He's great. I agree. This line sounds a little, maybe not the best, but I really enjoy the first one. I've seen it quite a few times. Oh, You've Got Mail. What do we think of number 6?
What does it say?
You've
I
Got
turned
Mail.
up
Okay.
my phone off.
Kevin, this is possibly the most adorable creature I've ever been in contact with. And if she turns out even to be as good looking as a mailbox, oh, I don't actually like this. I'd be crazy not to turn my life upside down and marry her.
Okay, that's a little
But
cheesy.
did he really say that?
Weird.
I don't like that.
Yeah. Does he say that?
I don't remember this, and I don't like adorable creature. Makes me
Adorable
feel a little weird.
creature. That's a really weird way to refer to
Being
someone.
good looking as a mailbox. Is this real? I don't think this was in the film.
I know. I thought I'd be crazy not to turn my lips down and marry her.
Punked. Is this like a
No, I think that is.
social?
I think that's when they're having their walk and talk in the city, and he's like, because
I mean,
he's
this
all
is
like
controversial
conflicted.
too. I'm sharing all my hot takes. I don't love You've Got Mail either, even though I love. I know.
What?
We're spilling the tea. I have a lot of issues with it.
I do think it's not in my top Nora Ephron movies. I think I
Yeah.
love it, but I love Sleepless in Seattle, When Harry Met Sally, and I really
Yes.
love if you or if anyone listening to this hasn't seen This Is Your Life, This Is Your Life, or This Is My Life. That's one of my favorite Nora Ephron movies.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
You've Got Mail actually isn't in my top 3 either.
Yeah. I just don't like Tom Hanks' character very much.
I will say one of my favorite parts of You've Got Mail is when the little boy is like FOX Fox.
Yes. And I love a movie about books, and it's very peak autumnal vibes with letters, the setting. I think the way it deals with technology is really beautiful and still manages to be timeless, even though, obviously what they were using seems outdated. So there are things I really admire about it. But
I agree.
Not my favorite.
I think we're in agreement on that.
Let us know, interact with us on social media if you agree with these quotes. If they are really cringe, we'd be curious what you do love. If you agree with our takes on it, what your favorite quote is from a rom-com.
Ooh, yeah, that should be our question this week. What's your favorite quote from a rom-com? We'll make our own list.
That'd be really fun. Okay, so we're gonna wrap this up soon, but as for future episodes, we really do want to get more content up in a more frequent manner. So we have some exciting interviews scheduled. We already have one coming out very soon.
After this episode,
Yes, after this episode, we'll have our first guest episode, which we're really excited about.
First guest.
And celebrities, kind of. I think they're celebrities.
Honestly, anyone who has sold a script or done anything is definitely my kind of celebrity.
And we're gonna be having a lot of holiday content coming up because a lot of the writers we've connected with coming up have written Christmas and holiday content
movies.
So, and that's good timing because we're
going into holiday season, so
which is wild. In my head it's still July or something.
I know. Time has definitely moved fast this summer. I feel very odd that it's almost November, but I'm excited for the holidays. So
I'm excited too. We look forward to chatting with you guys more. Interact with us on social media, please. We're posting a lot more content on Instagram and Twitter. Isabella's been making these really cute reels of clips from our favorite rom-coms. So we're gonna have some of those coming out soon. So we would love just to interact with you there. Well, this has been an episode of When Isabel Met Aviva. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to stay up to date with our episodes, please subscribe, and bonus points if you leave us a positive review. That would mean so much to us. You can follow us on Instagram at When Isabel Met Aviva, on TikTok at When Isabel Met Aviva, and on Twitter at Isabel Met Aviva. We're both on Instagram and Twitter. If you have any questions or you need advice or you want to tell us your thoughts about that quote article, please hit us up. I am Aviva Pelton on Instagram and Twitter. And Isabel, what are you?
Oh, I feel like I need to fix mine. Mine is at Isabel_K_T. It'll be in the show notes, or like you can just find it on our When Isabel Met Aviva Instagram page. And then my Twitter is just It Writes Comedy, because my initials are IT, which I always
Yeah, it
like
works.
writing.
It works. So goodbye for now. See you soon. And don't forget to watch and write as many rom-coms as possible ASAP.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Watch all the rom-coms. Bye.